Hey, and welcome to the Wrap Up Live. This is the official Raptors Republic Live post-game show and podcast where we recap the latest Raptors game you all just watched. I'm your host, Sahal Abdi. I am going solo tonight. Unfortunately, the guys could not make it, but they picked the wrong game because your Toronto Raptors look like a brand new team. Tonight, your Raptors defeated the New Orleans Pelicans 115-110. That brings the Raptors record to only 2 games below 500, 29-31 on the NBA season. And last but not least, I ask you guys this every show. If you enjoy Raptors content, whether it's video, whether it's in print, whether it's online, it doesn't matter what it is. Raptors Republic has it for you. And the Rapcast podcast channel has it for you as well, wherever you're watching or listening. So please subscribe if you haven't already. Like the video. Let's get things started. And how do we want to start, everybody? How do we want to start? I think I know how we want to start. Let's talk about the latest addition to the Raptors, Jakob Poeltl. The Raptors are coming off of an All-Star break, right? Things look good. I mean, Pascal Siakam was named as a replacement during All-Star weekend in the All-Star game. A lot of Raptors fans felt like that should have happened in the first place. Well, he got his shot, 12 points in the first half. He played really well. And then moving on, Scotty Barnes also played in the Rising Stars game. That will be his last Rising Stars game, him being a sophomore now. And now the All-Star weekend's in the rearview mirror. And no core guys were dealt at the trade deadline. Not OG, not Gary, not Fred. So now, I mean, the push for a playoff spot begins. We have, 6 weeks remaining in the NBA season. And according to Kirthika on TSN Sports, she tweeted earlier today that the Raptors have the 5th hardest remaining schedule in the NBA. 9 of their 23 games are against top 4 seeds. 13 of 23 are on the road, and they'll play 3 different sets of back-to-backs. Okay, that's all out of the way. Let's get into the game. And I mean, Jakob Poeltl should have been here a long time ago. That's how I feel. What a fantastic game from Jakob Poeltl. Absolutely incredible. We're talking about a guy who's not only brought balance to a team that needed it, both offensively and defensively. We're talking about a guy who, I mean, he's doing everything. He's protecting the rim at an elite level. We finally have what looks like a plus pick and roller. I mean, I haven't seen a pick and roll work so well with this Pascal Siakam and Jakob Poeltl tandem as it has maybe tonight. I think that's the best we've seen in the few Jakob Poeltl games we've gone so far. But I mean, everything was working. What I would have liked to see is maybe the Raptors not I don't want to say blow the lead, but it got pretty close. Everybody's anxiety was up late in that game, which was unfortunate, but it is what it is. Those are NBA games. We're not going to sulk over that. It was a fantastic game. I mean, if you were in the stadium, I do know it was Caribbean night, which is incredible to see. The halftime performance, from everything I gathered, was incredible. So please, if you were in the stadium, whether you're listening to this after in our podcast version or you're listening to it live, please let me know how it was, because from what I heard, the night's atmosphere was incredible from start to finish. And the halftime performance kind of tipped off everything, which was great. All right, Jakob Poeltl. Well, what did he have tonight? We're talking about a starter, first of all. Nick Nurse did not start Fred VanVleet. He was out of this game. They did classify that as a personal issue that I don't think was divulged over, as far as I remember. Jakob Poeltl did start this game, and Nick Nurse went big. I mean, it was Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, Jakob Poeltl, Gary Trent Jr. And Raptors fans, I mean, I would say the response to that was a bit split. I think not having Fred VanVleet, especially at the level he's played in the last couple months, threw off Raptors fans a little bit. I mean, he's, especially since Jakob Poeltl's joined the team, he's looked like an incredible playmaker. He did not start, and unfortunately, he was out. He did not play in this game at all. Jakob Poeltl did start, and we're going to start with him. 9 for 11 from the field in only 30 minutes played, 21 points, Raptors fans, and 18 rebounds. 7 of those 18 being offensive rebounds. I mean, what can we say? What can we say? This guy was added at the trade deadline. I know a lot of Raptors fans were thrown off by the fact that the Raptors gave away a 2024 protected first round pick for him. And it's okay. I mean, it was okay to feel like that. I'm not trying to single out Raptors fans that felt that way. It did. I mean, when you think about it did feel a little rich for some fans. But I don't think Raptors fans realize, I mean, since Marc Gasol's left this team in 2019, the lack of productive play from the center position has been astounding for this team. This team has not looked balanced. It's looked like a bunch of guys who, I mean, talent-wise look incredible single-handedly. They look like great players, but it's a team that was thin, and it was a team that lacked rim protection and a team that lacked that size at the in the front court. So, I mean, Jakob's here now, and you guys can see it. I had to pull up the box score for everyone who's live watching for us. Like I said, 21 points, 18 rebounds, and what looked incredible, I think, and the first thing I'm going to bring up for Jakob Poeltl is not the rim protection, right? Surprisingly so. It's not the fact that it felt like every time Brandon Ingram was at the rim, or Jonas Valanciunas, who by the way, did draw his fair share of fouls in this game. It felt like every time a New Orleans Pelicans player attacked the rim tonight, Jakob Poeltl was there to meet them. He did only have a single block in the box score, but Raptors fans who watched tonight's game knew that his impact defensively around the paint was felt by the Pelicans. A lot of the big shots that the Pelicans hit at the end of the game were just that, jump shots. CJ McCollum, I mean, I tweeted during the game that he's just one of the most aesthetically pleasing offensive players in the league. You can't really do much about a player like him offensively. It is what it is. Having OG Anunoby return, which was another storyline heading into this game, was incredible because you need him for a very good Pelicans team that boasts one of the most talented offensive wings in the game in Brandon Ingram. And, I mean, for me, I'll let you guys scroll up and see Brandon Ingram's stats. I mean, for me, it looked pretty damn good. Brandon Ingram did have 36, right? Like, we're not talking about a guy who did not score his fair share of buckets, but he did take 27 shots to get those 36. And I think the Raptors are okay with that in terms of efficiency. 12 for 27 from Brandon Ingram from the field. He did get to the line 8 times, but I mean, that's just Brandon Ingram. OG did not make it easy for him. Again, we're talking about one of the best wing players, I think, in the league, especially on his night. CJ McCollum also had a pretty solid game for the Pelicans, but I think the Raptors closed things off when they needed to, and I think that was the most important thing, and a lot of that had to do with the tandem of Jakob Poeltl and Pascal Siakam. I know all of you Raptors fans listening and watching, I mean, enjoyed the hell out of that. I mean, the trust Pascal Siakam has in Jakob Poeltl and the way Jakob, I mean, the gravity he brings as a great pick and roll player. I mean, the corners seem like they're always open. And if you have an OG Anunoby on the weak side corner and you have Gary Trent Jr. perched up in the strong side corner, you're going to have success as an offense. And I think this is what the Raptors were lacking. And I mentioned this before. It's that big, burly center, right? Who like, I mean, there's a lot of guys who are big like Jakob Poeltl, but they're not as mobile as him, right? There's a lot of guys out there 7 foot, just like Siakam. I mean, we've seen them on the Raptors. The Raptors have tried to address this position, but maybe they just haven't tried hard enough until they acquired Jakob Poeltl. And like I said earlier, the price was rich, but I mean, it looks well worth it for the Raptors. That 2024 protected first round pick. I mean, now Raptors fans have definitely come to the conclusion that they would give up that trade 10 times out of 10 for a guy of Jakob Poeltl's talent. A lot of times as well. I mean, for myself, on an individual level, I mean, right as that Jakob Poeltl trade happened and San Antonio and Toronto came to an agreement, the first thing I did, right, was kind of refamiliarize myself with Jakob Poeltl. I watched a ton of clips, right? Luckily, San Antonio Spurs, for those out there who love watching film of, especially defensive film, the San Antonio Spurs YouTube does an absolutely phenomenal job of breaking down each and every one of their players. If any of you guys, which I mean, have an interest in Spurs players, I mean, sure, Keldon Johnson, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, Jakob Poeltl, I watched him and I was like, you know what? After watching him for about an hour, I was like, this guy is not just going to help, but he's going to have a big impact. And it's crazy because my expectations are blown out of the water. I mean, I expected him to have an impact, but nothing like this. We're talking 21 points and 18 rebounds in just 30 minutes of play. And again, only missing 2 shots from the field, 9 for 11. This isn't, with all due respect to Brandon Ingram, this isn't a guy that's taking 18 shots to get 21 points. 9 for 11. The efficiency is incredible. You can't ask for more at the center position. And I think very quickly, it's very easy after a game like this to kind of make very shocking and statements about Jakob and how much he means to this team. But I mean, if the Raptors are going to make a playoff run, I think Jakob Poeltl, we can all say, is probably going to be one of the most important players on this team. He's an impending free agent. A lot of Raptors fans forgot about that part. And he looks like a guy, I mean, if he keeps anywhere close to this level of play going, and he keeps this consistent level of play, I mean, there's no question asked. He has to come back. He has to return as a Raptor. A lot of fans, rightfully so, and media as well, felt like as soon as the trade happened and you traded a 2024 first for Jakob Poeltl, that was essentially the Raptors saying, we're bringing him back no matter what in the offseason. He's getting re-signed. But, I mean, now watching him, it's like, I mean, now it might be a money thing. Like, it might be how much exactly do we pay this guy? Right. And I know, guys, we're only 4 or 5 games in with Jakob Poeltl, several games in. It's not many, right? But I mean, you're lying if you said that you expected this level of play. Moving on, right? I felt like we've been talking about Jakob quite a bit, which is of course deservedly so. I want to move on to another player, Pascal Siakam, and for me, man, oh man, Pascal Siakam, I think we're talking about a guy who, I mean, he is, like you see at the bottom of the screen, he's a cheat code. A lot of fans balk at me, especially during the live show. Sometimes on my Twitter when I refer to him as a superstar. I mean, every person who watches basketball kind of has a different criteria for what a superstar is. Some people think it's the top 5 players in the league. Some people think it's the guys who can win as a 1A on a championship team. Some people think it's a top 10 player, a top 20 player. I view Pascal Siakam as one of the best 15 players in basketball right now, as we speak. I think he's proved that this season. He's proved that, which is incredible, by the way, because if you look at the talent of the top 20 players, I mean, if you could search it right now, right, on any search engine you prefer, top 20 players in the league, and you see the type of names that Pascal Siakam surrounds himself with. I mean, you guys saw it in the All-Star game as well. That's the best talent in the world, right? And Pascal Siakam is that guy, right? He's that guy. And late in the game, it feels like a lot of Raptors fans, I think, felt like there isn't that one guy at the end of the fourth quarter the Raptors could rely on. Some fans would have said last season it was Fred VanVleet in his All-Star year. Some fans want Gary Trent Jr. to be the primary ball handler in those situations. I think this season has taught us, if anything, that Pascal Siakam is that guy for the Raptors, not only because of his scoring prowess, but his ability to play make, his ability to cause havoc defensively when he needs to as well. I mean, he's a solid rebounder for his size as well. Pascal Siakam with 26 points in this game. He was a +8, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. Two of those assists coming late in the clutch to Jakob Poeltl. He got to the free throw line 8 times. I mean, what a game from Pascal Siakam. What a game from the Raptors All-Star. Chris Willis, who is a great friend of the show. We love seeing you here, Chris. He asked a great question. He says, the Raptors are one superstar away from being a contender? I mean, like I said, Chris, I'm not going to overstep, right? Because it's very easy to fall into hyperbole after a game like this. After you see your all-star go off in Pascal Siakam, you see your recent trade acquisition, Jakob Poeltl, go crazy. Gary Trent Jr., we haven't even gotten into him. I mean, what a shot at the end of the game. And I know a lot of people realize that Gary Trent Jr. Was open for a lot of that. I want to say the last 2 minutes of the game when Pascal Siakam and Jakob were operating in that high pick and roll. It felt like Gary Trent Jr. was ready to fire. And he waited and he waited and he waited. And he finally got his opportunity. And sometimes that's all it takes. You get one opportunity to hit that shot. And he did it. Gary Trent Jr. with the most clutch shot of the night. The elbow three that put the game away. The Raptors were only up 2 after a big bucket from Brandon Ingram. And like I said, I mean, that stretched it to a 5-point game. And at that point, it was all over. Timeout was called. And the Raptors won 115-110. So, I mean, what a night, I think, for Raptors basketball. I think this is what Raptors fans want, right? Because, like I said, we're all coming fresh off the All-Star break, right? No basketball around that All-Star break. And now it's a little different, right? Because after that All-Star weekend, Adam Silver, I think a few years back, kind of changed how the NBA doesn't come straight off of All-Star weekend, right? That Sunday was the All-Star game. I think if it was 5 or 6 years ago, they would be playing, I think, on the Tuesday, right? Now, Adam Silver kind of implemented a rule where you get a little bit more of a break, right? Now we're in Thursday night. The Raptors had Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday as a break. If any of you guys follow Pascal Siakam on social media, he was enjoying that little vacation time that he had, which is incredible to see. And yeah, I mean, it showed. Pascal Siakam had those vacation legs, which in the beginning of the game didn't look so great. And then it took on a whole different meaning. Vacation legs took on a whole different meaning later in the game. He looked fantastic. Looking at it from the other perspective, because a lot of times what we do on Wrap Up Live is, of course, we take a Raptor-centric look at everything. Looking at it from the New Orleans Pelicans perspective, this was a good basketball team. I mean, 30 wins, 29 losses. Just, I believe they came into this game 7th in the Western Conference, in a very, very strong Western Conference, might I add. A Western Conference that just added Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant to the fold. 2 of maybe the top 10 players in the East were added. 2 all-star starters were added to that conference. And yeah, the Pelicans are a fantastic team. They actually owned the West's top seed at one point in December. But I mean, the logjam is there. They've slowly trickled down that conference. And I believe at one point, if I remember correctly, they were on a 10-game losing streak. But I mean, no Zion, and they still have the talent. We're talking about a team that without Zion Williamson still has CJ McCollum, who I still view as an all-star level player. Brandon Ingram, who's 1 year removed from an all-star berth. And then a great supporting cast. Larry Nance Jr., who's the guy who was just in Rising Stars, who won the Rising Stars MVP? Jose Alvarado, Najee Marshall, Trey Murphy, of course, the man, the myth, the legend who made his return to Toronto. We'll get into that a bit later, JV. They did trade for Josh Richardson as well at the deadline, who does bolster their rotation. I think I said Trey Murphy, Najee Marshall. Yeah, that's a great team. Herbert Jones, I think one of the best perimeter defenders in basketball. We saw that in the playoffs last season. This was a very, very good New Orleans Pelicans basketball team. And the Raptors came into this game, and it was close in the beginning. Don't get me wrong, guys. It was close. The Raptors only led by 4 after the first quarter. They did lead by 9 at halftime, but the Pelicans slowly trickled back in the fourth quarter, but could not do enough. And the Raptors came away with it. It was a fantastic game. There's so many different things that happened. I mean, let's talk about Jonas Valanciunas for a sec. His first return in front of the fans since being a Toronto Raptor in Scotiabank Arena, which is incredible to see. He did play in Scotiabank Arena during the COVID-affected season, but unfortunately the fans were not there to witness it. JV, from what I heard from some friends that were there at the game, he did receive a very, very loud ovation, which is incredible to see. I think one of the more liked Raptors of the last 10, 15 years. You could even argue in the franchise's history. So it was great to see JV back. I mean, we love him. We love him. There's no quips about that. Jonas Valanciunas, one of the more liked Raptors of all time. He played 29 minutes in this game, 12 points, 12 rebounds. But man, oh man, did the Raptors take advantage of him in the pick and roll. And I think now we're starting to see, and I don't mean to laugh, but we're starting to see the weaknesses that we saw later on, I think, in JV's Raptors career, where if you put him in a high pick and roll, I mean, you could really take advantage if you have the playmaking. I even witnessed Jeff Doughton Jr., who we haven't even mentioned yet, who played some really key minutes for the Raptors tonight, put JV in a blender on these screen and rolls, which was great to see. Who have I not mentioned yet in this game? OG Anunoby, like I said earlier, returned. How am I forgetting this, guys? Chris Boucher. My word, my goodness. I could already see you guys. Some of you guys said it, mentioned it in the live chat. Chris Boucher with, I mean, you could call me biased. You could call me anything you like. I genuinely don't care. That to me was one of the dunks of the season. Chris Willis, again, like, I mean, the block as well. The Chris Boucher dunk was incredible. One step in front of the free throw line. There's a lot of guys. Let me just put this out there right now, because we were talking about the All-Star weekend earlier. There's a lot of guys who can't, in an All-Star weekend setting during the dunk contest, who cannot do what Chris Boucher did on that dunk during a dunk contest. One single step in front of the free throw line. Chris Boucher made it look so easy with that super long wingspan. I mean, my Twitter timeline had the Michael Jordan photo just all the way down from maybe like 10, 15 people, which was so cool to see. I mean, if we're talking play of the night, and I mean, I'm sorry, Gary Trent Jr., that last shot, that clutch shot was incredible. But the one play that's going to be remembered tonight is that Chris Boucher dunk. Let me see if I can maybe pull it up for you guys. I wasn't expecting it. He took it up all the way himself, and William Liu of Sportsnet made a very good point. Chris Boucher picked up his dribble just after he hit the Raptors logo on half court. Let me share this with you guys because I'm looking at it as we speak. I mean, wow. One of the best dunks of the season. If you're asking me and my biased self, I'm saying the dunk of the season. Goodness gracious. Let me rewind this a bit for you guys, because this was incredible. We have to watch this together as a wow. I know it's hard to see, and I apologize. And I'm trying my best so we can watch this together. But I'm going to pause it right here. Wait, right there. He picked up his dribble. Oh, I'm not even showing you guys. I'm an idiot. This is horrible. There we go. This is why Sahal Abdi's not the producer of Wrap Up Live, by the way. Keon, I need you. The whole time I thought I was showing you guys. Here we are. I paused it right there. You guys can see. This is where he picks up his dribble just beyond half court at the logo. And I mean, the rest is just, it's beautiful. Chef's kiss. Look at the takeoff. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, guys? I need you to zoom in on that. Please zoom in, because that's barely even a step beyond the free throw line. We're talking like inches at that point. I mean, the finish was incredible, and I'm just going to play it for you guys because I know you guys are probably tired of me pausing it. Let me zoom out a little bit. Let me zoom out so you guys see it. There we go. Now here we go. Najee Marshall bringing the ball up. Oh, we don't want to see private messages. Najee Marshall bringing the ball up, getting blocked. Let's see this one more time. 1-2, take off, and look at how Precious is looking at him. He's like, goodness gracious. Someone mentioned that the funniest part of this dunk is Jose Alvarado in between four Raptors. You guys can see him in the middle, thinking, probably in his mind, that he's going to steal this ball. And he has no clue what's about to hit him at this point. Smart decision, though. What do they call that? They call that a business decision. Great decision by Jose Alvarado, getting out of the way. I mean, he barely got out of the way. I need everyone to watch Precious Achiuwa. He's like, goodness, great, you filthy animal. And then, of course, in typical Chris Boucher fashion, right? I mean, it's not done there. Are we talking one of, if not the best blocker in the NBA when it comes to blocking three-point shots? Is that who Chris Boucher is? Because I'm okay with saying that. I really am. I'm okay with saying Chris Boucher is the best three-point shot blocker in the NBA. I'm okay with it. I'm totally fine with it. Man, what a game. I'm trying to get through all the storylines really quickly for you guys. Just make sure I don't forget a single thing. Let me pull up the box score for you again. Here we go. Let's do this really quick. Where are we? There we go. We got Pascal Siakam, like I mentioned, great game. Some of the other Raptors who played well that I didn't even mention yet. Scotty Barnes played the most minutes on the Raptors, 40 minutes. Looked terrific in terms of playmaking. Did only finish with 3 assists, but man, oh man, he was active defensively. 3 steals, 18 points for Scotty. His shot was falling, 2 for 4 from 3. Funny enough, just before the game began, multiple media members of the Toronto that cover the Toronto Raptors mentioned that Nick Nurse, and I'm paraphrasing here, he wanted Scotty Barnes and OG Anunoby, to be much more aggressive shooting the 3 ball in this game, which is great to see. What like I said, what have we not talked about? Let me look at the bench really quick. Precious Achiuwa, 6 points, 2 for 6 shooting. I mean, he was active on the glass, 6 rebounds. Nothing to really go crazy about. Jeff Doughton Jr. Hey guys, I'm there. Jeff Doughton Jr., you have done enough for me to warrant more minutes on this team, or at least a consistent amount of minutes. And unfortunately, that's going to come at the expense of Malachi Flynn and a couple other Raptors who did not play in this game. Thaddeus Young was a DNP. So very surprising to not see Malachi Flynn on a day that Fred VanVleet Jr. was not active. But again, like I said, Jeff Doughton Jr. looked like he belonged, which was great to see. Fantastic to see. The Raptors need that. They need that one guy on the bench, whether it's Jeff one night, Wancho the next night, Malachi the night after. They need these guys to step up because the bench is still thin, right? Even though you added Jakob Poeltl to this team, the bench is still thin. You got Chris Boucher and Precious, who are stalwarts at this point of the rotation. Thaddeus Young, I mean, I don't know if his knees can hold up. And I mean, this isn't even a disrespectful thing. He's an older veteran. I don't know if his knees can hold up playing 20 minutes night in, night out. Trace mentions a great point here. He says down play defense, which is the biggest key in this game. And yeah, I mean, like I said, when you're coming off the bench as a Toronto Raptor and your name's not Chris Boucher and your name's not Precious Achiuwa, you don't have those expectations to have consistent performances night in, night out. If your name's Malachi Flynn or Jeff Doughton Jr. or any other of the bench guys, you just need to look like you belong. You don't need to put up 15 points. You don't need to put up 20 points. You need to have an extraordinary plus-minus number, right? You don't need all that. Just look like you belong through the effort plays, through the defensive plays. I'm okay with it. Guru mentions that why sign Wieskamp if you don't give him minutes? We need shooters. Hey, I mean, Nick knows best. I can't really say anything. I'm not at the practices. I'm not seeing everything that Nick's seeing. And from what I saw, I don't know, Guru, if this is the right night to really get on Nick Nurse about rotations, because I felt like the guys that he chose off the bench really performed like he wanted them to. Chris Boucher, Precious Achiuwa, and Jeff Doughton. And like I said, you don't need a fantastic game off the bench. You don't need a 6th man of the year guy, a 6th man of the year performance off the bench, right? Defend. Exactly. Move the ball to the right guy, shoot the wide open jumpers, make them, play defense, do all the little things, and we're okay with it. I'm fine. I'm fine with just that. I'm going to just quickly go through the live comment section and highlight some things that I like or that I find interesting. Tomo, love and appreciate you as well. Thank you for watching with us on a Thursday night. Appreciate you. Smooth Brown Man says, Chris Boucher with the free throw Jordan dunk from 87. Yeah, I mean, I saw the meme, or not the meme, I guess the photo all over my Twitter timeline, which is insane to see. I don't know if an NBA player, or I don't know when the last time an NBA player has dunked from that far out. I'm thinking possibly like a JaVale McGee. I know he had a similar looking dunk years ago. I don't remember if he was a Denver Nugget at the time, but JaVale McGee, if you guys remember, back in his heyday, was an athletic specimen. I don't know how else to describe him. But yeah, I don't remember the last time I saw a dunk take off from that far. Maybe you guys can let me know in the comments as well. Let me see what else we got. Minhas says, I still think an 8-man rotation is a bad idea. Yeah, I mean, you guys can let me know in the comments who else you would have liked to see in a game like this. For me, though, the 3 guys that came off the bench really proved themselves. Maybe, I mean, a Thad Young appearance would have been nice, or maybe minutes could have been found somewhere for Malachi Flynn in a game like this. But I mean, if you're asking me, I'm personally okay with an 8-man rotation. It'll change. I mean, it's fluid. It's not something that's very rigid in terms of how many guys Nick Nurse wants to play in a game like this. The next game, I believe, on Saturday night, I think it's Detroit. We may see 10 Raptors play, right? We may see 11 Raptors play. An 8-man rotation, I think it's difficult for me to say I don't like it, because I think it's fluid from what I've seen from Nick Nurse thus far. Let's see what else we got in the comments. I'm going to answer or highlight a few more, and then we're going to head out. Let's see what we got. Minha says, maybe Joe Wieskamp and Christian Koloko. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to be mad at a Wieskamp cameo. I won't be mad at it. I feel like in the very short time we've seen him play as a Toronto Raptor, in the minutes we've seen him play, he doesn't look all that bad. He's a bigger body. A lot of people just assume that he was another Matt Thomas joining the Raptors, just another pure shooter. But he's a bigger body, right? Which is important, I think, for the Raptors. And he did sign that contract for the rest of the season, which was great to see. Christian Koloko, I mean, with Jakob Poeltl playing like that, he can have all the minutes he wants, right? Gives the Raptors a whole new look, and allows Nick Nurse, too, to just be way more versatile, I think, with the bench units as well. Let's look for one more. You guys are mentioning Bruno Caboclo in the live chat, which is funny. Speaking of Bruno Caboclo, by the way, Nigel Nicholas, one of our writers at Raptors Republic, wrote an incredible piece on Bruno Caboclo actually this week, which was it was really, really good. It was kind of like a look back piece. So for any of you guys that enjoy Bruno Caboclo, because you guys are clearly mentioning him in the comments, head to raptorsrepublic.com and find that piece. Great, fantastic piece. I actually highlighted it on my Twitter as well. I retweeted Nigel as well. Fantastic. Nigel's a great writer. Great writer. And who doesn't like a look back piece? Who doesn't like that? Right? I said Jakob Poeltl. Bruno Caboclo is one of those guys that I feel like is just going to be implanted in Raptors fans' minds for the rest of eternity. Tomo says Banton's in the doghouse. Hey, I can't really blame Nick. I'm sorry, guys. I mean, Canadian, love the dude, kills it with the 905 most of the time. But I mean, he just hasn't really done enough for me, or really for Nick, which is the more important thing for the Raptors. I think that'll do it. What did I not talk about in this game? I mean, hopefully we get Fred VanVleet back. Whenever you hear a personal issue, you really start to feel for NBA players. I mean, we'll see. We'll see when we get the starting point guard back in the fold. In the meantime, guys, Thursday night, we're back. All-Star weekend is over. Great, fantastic start to the second half of the season. The next 6 weeks are going to be fun for Raptors basketball. Before you guys leave us tonight, do what you always do and what we appreciate at Raptors Republic. We need you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, as well as our podcast channel, the Rapcast. Like this video if you haven't already. Join the comment section. Even if it's not live, I mean, I always check back to see what people commented. We enjoy it. We enjoy the engagement. I enjoy the engagement. I love it. I try highlighting you guys as much as possible. Really building a family here at Wrap Up Live. This was Wrap Up. This is your official Wrap Up post-game live show where tonight your Raptors defeated the New Orleans Pelicans 115-110, bringing the Raptors record 2 games below 500 to 29 wins and 31 losses on the NBA season. Welcome back to OG Anunoby. He's back from injury. Welcome back to Jonas Valanciunas, who returned to Scotiabank Arena, his home in Toronto. Yes, Pelicans fans, Toronto is still Jonas Valanciunas' home. The live show was produced by yours truly. As you guys could probably tell, the way I was struggling pulling up some of the videos for you tonight. That was it for myself, Sahal Abdi. We'll see you all on Saturday night in Detroit, which is, like Raptors fans know, Toronto's second home. Sorry, Pistons fans. The Toronto Raptors cottage, whatever you want to call it, their getaway retreat. I mean, the way we just fill up that Pistons stadium is incredible. I love seeing it. We loved, speaking for everybody at Wrap Up Live, we loved having each and every one of you spend time with us tonight. Enjoy the win. We'll see you all next time on Wrap Up Live. This was enjoyable for me. I'm going to go celebrate. This was fun. Thank you guys for joining. I really loved it. Take care. Have a good one. And be safe.